Hi everyone, welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Teddy Atlas III, joined as always, Boxing Hall of Famer, my main man, my father, Teddy Atlas. How you doing, bud?
Good. It's how hot is it in Las Vegas? About 120. How hot is it?
It's
Because
110, 115, but in the air condition here, it's nice and cool.
thank God. Because we're gonna have a contest later on for the people out there, just to give them a little tease and a little something to look forward to. We're gonna have a contest. We're gonna keep putting up the list that my special son here, who knows what you guys like and actually cares about it and tries to get me to do it. We're gonna put another list up. I think we're gonna put up a list. I think it's gonna be a good one later on this week of greatest chins. Can you imagine that? Greatest chins of by. There's going to be a hell of a list. And we're going to have a contest where I'll put up mine, but I'm not going to number them. I'm just going to put up the greatest chins, and I'm not going to number. Then it's going to be up to you guys to pick your own list, and you can number them, but you pick your own list. And then we're going to have a contest. You're going to go on the website, whatever the heck this thing is that's out there, the cloud, I don't know. But whatever it is, this magical thing called the internet, you're going to go up there. My son's going to look at it. And I'm going to pick the winner. And you're going to get a prize. We'll let you know what the prize is later. But you'll wind up getting a prize. Left hook to the liver. You're going to get you're going to know. It'll be more fun than that. But the reason I bring it up, to give the people something to look forward to, is that, and the reason I asked you about the temperature, is we could have a contest on that too. It's 100 and whatever, ridiculous number in Las Vegas, but here it's going to be 100 degrees in New York City. Which is hotter, the 120 or whatever, 15 in Las Vegas, the dry heat, right? They call it dry heat, Rich. You know, an oven is dry. You know that, right? Is the dry heat hotter, or is the 95 to 100 degree heat in New York City with the humidity and everything else, the buildings, everything else going on? Which one would you rather be in? I know that you'd rather be in Aruba. I get it. But which one would you rather? The 115 to 20 degree heat in Vegas, or the 95 to 100 in New York City? Which would you be able to deal with and tolerate better? That's the question. We'll get to that too. I want to just say that it was nice going to the University of Baylor. We went to Texas. We flew out a few days ago. You came with me. We went to the University of Baylor football team to speak to them. I spoke to the team. I spoke to the coaches. Couldn't have had a better group of people. Not just athletes, but people. Good people. Good, decent, just people that you feel good about being around. You feel good about spending time with. And the speech went well. It was great to have you come with me. And then also during the week, I was asked to do a voiceover for EA Sports for their hockey game video. That's that kind of evokes me to say I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. You know what I mean? I couldn't help it. I had to say that because if we ever went and did a list of toughest athletes, hockey players would have to be on that list. I mean, obviously MMA, boxing, but hockey players would be up there. Any sport where you're dealing with a puck that is solid, like granite type, concrete type rubber, condensed rubber, that's coming at you 120 miles an hour, and it can hit you in the head and knock your teeth out or whatever, and get busted up the way they do, and then go into the locker room. I don't even know if they used to go in the locker room. I think they used to go on the bench and get stitched up and then come right back out. And then if you go back even further, the goalies used to play with no masks. That's a pretty tough game. That's a pretty tough game. So it was nice that they asked me to do the voiceover for that. We'll see how that comes out. And that's it. That's like George Foreman said to Muhammad Ali in one of those late rounds in Zaire. Is that all you got, George? Yep, that's about it. Is that all you got, Teddy? Pops? Yes, son. That's about it. Let's talk boxing.
Yeah, I look forward to the game. That's going to be for EA Sports, the NHL, the new NHL game that'll be coming out. And it was a great trip to Baylor. It was great to be with you. Great people, great barbecue, great food. So really enjoyed it.
Oh, the barbecue. The barbecue, that could be another half-hour segment. Oh, my goodness. Don't even get me started on the barbecue. That was, let me just say this. It was the best. I've been to Memphis. I've been all over the place with Friday Night Fights for 20 years. We went everywhere. We always got barbecue when we were at the appropriate cities that was mandated to get a barbecue. But I think this was the best I ever had. I mean, the ribs, forget about it. Forget about it. It just fell off the bone. The brisket, forget about it. Oh, forget about it.
Yeah, it was pretty special. Terry Black's there in Waco, the flagship one in Austin. You can't go wrong with barbecue in Texas, but that place was extra special to me. So we'll get right into it, but a lot of fights, a lot of action to cover from all over the world. We're going to start off with boxing, who's on a Thursday. It was in Japan. It was Brian Norman, the new WBO welterweight champ, defended his title for the first time versus Jin Sasaki. Norman is the youngest active world champion in boxing right now at the moment, 24 years of age. And it reminded me of last week's fights. We're having a lot of Japanese fighters recently. They all have unbelievable heart, chins. But do they not teach defense in Japan? Do they not move their heads? You talked about it last week with Andy Cruz. You said it looked like it was MLB batting practice. Well, this week with Norman, it looked like the home run derby. Might be knockout of the year. You called it in the lead up in our preview going into it. You said he throws everything with bad intentions. You said that he has a beautiful left hook. And you said that Sasaki was too easy to hit. In the end, it all came true. 5th round knockout, first defense. Might be a star has been born for Brian Norman. What'd you make of this one?
Yeah, first of all, that's just qualify one thing. Some of the Japanese fighters, we've seen them that, yeah, they've been, they, like I used to say, the great Mickey Duff used to say, one of the great boxing minds and promoters of all time, used to say, hey, Teddy, this guy gets insulted if you miss him. So, but we got to qualify that. I mean, we got guys named Nakasaki and Inoue who are pretty damn good defensively. But moving on to the Norman, yeah, I think his star is born. I love him. I like his demeanor. I like, he doesn't get over the top with getting too crazy when he wins a fight. I mean, I remember the great Jim Brown in your business in football, where he's probably the greatest running back of all time because the stats that he accumulated compared to everyone else's was over a much shorter period of time, much less carries. I mean, the guy was phenomenal. He was, again, you might agree, you might not agree. I love Barry Sanders too, but Jim Brown probably the greatest running back of all time. The point I'm making is when he scored a touchdown, he just handed the ball to the ref. And after a few years of that, the newspaper guys asked him, how come you don't do what some of these guys do? You don't put a show on, you don't slam it into the ground. And his answer was perfect. He said, I've been there before. I expect to be there again. I mean, I expect to be there again. So why am I making a big deal out of it? It's something I expect to do. When these fighters win a fight, you don't have to go into this tirade, into all these stuff and just where they go sometimes. You want to fight. That's what's expected of you. That's what you trained to do. That's what you live to do. That's what you were brought up to do. Okay, that speaks for itself. I just like that Norman didn't overdo it in that area. Listen, he's a talented guy, not only because he's got God-given talent and he's worked hard to develop it, but his people have done a good job giving him good delivery systems, giving him a good base, a fundamental base of good habits. That's why I like him so much. And the reason Sasaki got knocked out, you've heard me say this once, you heard me say it 1,000,000 times. So you're going to hear me say it 1,000,001. When you see a knockout, yeah, it's the punch. Yeah, it's the talent. Yes, it's the ability. But most importantly, there was a flaw in the defensive system, in the technique of the fighter that got knocked out. Almost every time. Yeah, you had a good delivery system. The timing was good. All of that. But it happens because the opportunity was given to you to land that talent because the opponent came up short on technique. Somebody didn't teach him right. Yeah, I said it. There's not enough teachers out there. And again, one of the main reasons guys get knocked out, there's about 5, 6 reasons. I won't go over all of them, but they're consistent. It's always one of them. And this one is you don't pull back in front of your opponent with your hands down, your chin up. Because if you do, guess what? You get knocked out a lot of times. And we put up, our team put up a video that I thought was perfect, where you saw Mike McCollum 34 years ago scoring a sensational knockout that looked identical to this one, Bud, over Donald Curry, who at the time I think was undefeated. It was for the world title, and it was the same thing. Curry made a mistake. He pulled back with his hands down, his chin up, right in front of McCollum. McCollum stepped to him with a left hook, and that's all she wrote. This was exactly, so again, let's get better teachers out there. You're tough, you're fast, you're smart, you want to be all those good. Learn, go to school, read a book. Don't just watch TV. Same thing in my business. You want to be a top fighter? Go to school, study, learn the right habits. Have a trainer who can teach you the right fundamental habits. That's it. I said my piece. I'm not going to go anymore because it doesn't need any more. I like Norman. He's a player. He's right there. You don't have the talent that used to be in the welterweight division with guys named Crawford and Ennis. They've moved south, but you still have talent. You still have competitive fights there. I want to see him clean out that division. If he's that good, I want to find out if he is that good. I don't want to hear no more about who was ducking who, that he called out Ennis and Ennis. Listen, he probably did get offered. I'll give you a little bit on that without getting deep. He being Norman, did get offered, it seems like, some fights with Ennis, but it was at a time period that obviously his people didn't think he was ready. I don't blame him. They didn't think he was mature enough, seasoned enough, experienced enough. And now he is, in their mind. Anyway, terrific, opportunistic moment. He saw the moment, bang. I like the guy. I like Norman. Man, he does it all. He counterpunches. He times you. He's got speed. He's got power. He's got defense. What more do you need?
You nailed it. There's not much more to add to it. There's a great, thorough breakdown of that fight. And what you said with that beautiful clip we put up on the socials with McCallum, it was identical. So identical. Even the same round, 5th round stoppage for both of those knockouts. The last thing I'd say, it is refreshing to see a guy, after a win, act like he's been there before and he's going to be there again, like you said. That was nice to see, and especially in a scary moment, right? And our thoughts and prayers are with Sasaki. He was carried out of the ring on a stretcher, so we want to hope and make sure that he's okay. And again, congratulations to Brian Norman with a great performance in enemy territory. So with that being said, Bub, we're going to keep it moving. We're going to go switch over to the UK. This one was on DAZN, and we had Yafai versus Francisco Rodriguez. Now, Yafai His last fight won the interim flyweight championship versus Sonny Edwards. This was his first title defense. He was fighting Francisco Rodriguez in Galal Yafai's hometown in the UK. Now, I don't get to say this often to you, bud, but I told you so. We went ahead and watched some film scouting these guys beforehand. I took a peek at both of them. I watched Rodriguez. I told you to take a look at him. And he was a 2.5 to 1 underdog coming in. I thought he'd pull off the upset. He did in the end. But I go back to the Juto Nakatani fight in 2022 when he fell short. And in that fight, he showed an unbelievable chin to take the punches from Nakatani, a big puncher. But he showed the resilience, the heart, the character, the desire, the will. The stuff you always talk about, the makings of a champion. And I thought for Yafai, only 9 professional fights. I know he's a gold medalist, but would this test be too much too soon? And it proved to be that it was. He jumped all over him, Rodriguez did in the first round, hurt him early, and he pummeled him throughout. Clear-cut decision win. All the credit in the world to Galal Yafai to stay on his feet. He was only dropped in the later round.
So both guys, they both showed tremendous heart, but you're right.
Yeah, no question. And Yafai, I was worried watching the fight. The last 6-7 rounds of that fight, it was a vicious beating. And I was waiting for the corner to stop it. I was waiting for maybe the referee to stop it. I want to get your thoughts on the fight, but also we talk about it. You say it all the time that a piece of a fighter is left in the ring. There was definitely a piece of Yafai left in the ring that night. Is he going to be permanently damaged from this one loss and his only loss in his young professional career?
It's possible, but it's possible he's not young either. He's 32. I mean, he's not real, even though he's young as an athlete, as a fighter. He hasn't accumulated a lot of punishment, although he had a big amateur career. He's a gold medalist from the Olympics. So he's not old that way. He's not used up. He's not shop worn. But I'll say this. You won't know until you get him in the gym. You won't know until he gets in another fight if he's permanently has been compromised by that fight, psychologically or physically or both. But I'll say this. If you're going to do the right thing, and I hope they do, and I hope they know what the right thing is, the people around them, you better give him a long rest. He needs a long rest. You do not let him get back in the ring or in the gym, for that matter, with sparring, for at least, I'm being conservative, I'm being at least 6 months, but I would go further. I'd go 9 months. I would go 9 months. And I probably wouldn't have him in the ring for at least 9 months, 10 months, because of what you just alluded to. The kind of regular, sometimes it opens up and provokes the argument. Is it better to get hit a big shot early, get knocked out, or to take a lot of shots and handle them, take them, absorb them, an accumulation of punches, maybe not TNT punches, but just clean punches for a long period of time, which is more damaging? I mean, I would say, pretty much from being in the business and common sense too, and I think most neurologists and professional people in the medical field would agree, it's worse to take the accumulative effect of punches, to take those kind of punches for 12 rounds rather than just one punch early on and you get knocked out, but there's no more punishment being taken. So it is something that you have to watch. To your point, Bud, you picked it perfect. We do have to start doing live streaming of more fights, not just the Canelo Crawford type fights, not just the mega fights, but more fights. And we got to start offering during the fight some suggestions of who we like from a handicapping standpoint. If you want to do a little bit of gambling. We're not looking to force it on anyone. We're not looking to overdo it. We don't want anybody to bet more than is responsible for them. But it's out there. It's out there. It's on ESPN. It's all over the place, the gambling aspect of it. You get lifetime odds watching fights now. It's a whole different world. So you did say Rodriguez. You liked him a lot. And it was plus 250. And so we're gonna have to start looking at doing that on some kind of regular, maybe some kind of regular level. But in the meantime, you picked him for all the right reasons. His experience, he was just so much more experienced than Yafai. His relentless style, his heart, his chin. Yafai is known as a decent puncher. He's got 7 knockouts and 9 fights going in. You know, the thought was maybe he was going to hurt Rodriguez because he is in front of you. He's right there. He could catch him. He could hurt him. But when you know you got a guy with a durable chin, with a good set of whiskers, and you know he's got the experience, and you know he's got a relentless style, guess what? If he's fighting a guy who hasn't been in those waters before, right? If he hasn't been in that stage before, with this kind of fighter before, this kind of animal, and I'm saying that in a complimentary way, it's a good bet to go and take a shot at it. And that's why you did. And that's why your acumen about boxing is right. You want a butt with that. At the end of the day, I have to mention, I know there's idiots out there that disagree with me, and so I shouldn't call them idiots. You could disagree with me. That doesn't make you an idiot. But I do think that some of you are idiots. I'm sorry. I just can't, I couldn't help it. But does anyone disagree with me if they're being honest here? And you know I love the British, right? I love you guys. I love you. I mean, you're my brothers and sisters over there. I have crumpets and Guinness with you any day of the week if I was over there. You're the greatest fight fans in the world. And I'm not dismissing the Mexicans, the Irish, any of them, or Americans. But the English have such a long history with the boxing. They're great fans. But can your referees be any more nasty to the visiting fighter when he's fighting for a big fight, a title fight, whatever? Can they be any less accommodating? I mean, would you go to somebody's house if the host of the house treated you that way and said, "What do you want? What? Go over there. Can I use the bathroom?" "No, you can't. Excuse me, can I get a napkin?" "Go get the napkin. They're over there." Don't. I mean, if you got treated that way in a normal situation, if you went into Starbucks and you got treated that way, you wouldn't go back. I don't know why fighters, I know they have no choice, but why they go over there and their managers don't insist. If you're fighting a home country fighter from the UK, you have to insist on getting a neutral ref from another country. I wouldn't take my fighter over there. I wouldn't. I'm sorry, some of you, whatever, you might disagree with me, but your eyes, how can you deny what we see? The way every time, and again this time, the referee, the way he treated Rodriguez. Oh my God, it was like he was interfering. It was like he was looking to take a point away, looking to disqualify, look to stop him from punching to the body. And even when he pushed him back, with Yafai, he goes like this. "Hey, you okay? You good? All right, boy. Hey, get out of here. Come on, get back. You know, I mean, just the body language, the attitude. Again, the involvement with the visiting fighter, to the extent that these referees that are home country refs, the way they treat them, I don't think it's right. And sometimes it does interfere with the outcome of the fight. This time it didn't. Rodriguez did what you said. He's relentless. He just kept coming. He just kept coming. He got caught some good shots. Like you said, Yafai showed plenty of heart. It was a phone booth fight. I'll finish with this. Yafai was given, at the end of the day, maybe you could say, the main part of Teddy Atlas's handicap in here that really matters is that it came down to Rodriguez having too many fights, too much experience, too relentless, but just too experienced at this point in Yafai's career. Now, this might either leave take something out of Yafai or to make him a better fighter? I think it'll make him a better fighter, psychologically and technically. And I would say this, that Yafai, and I'm not trying to be critical, I'm giving him nothing but credit for the heart he showed, but they chose the wrong fight plan. And now at the end of the day, maybe they couldn't have executed any other fight plan. They didn't have enough experience to do it, enough confidence to do it, enough discipline yet in his life to do it with this particular relentless guy. But for me, if Yafai was going to win this fight, he was going to fight on the outside. You know you got a guy coming at you. You know that Yafai can punch pretty good. And he was going to nail him coming in. He was going to hurt. He was going to get opportunities on the outside to counterpunch, to land an uppercut, to land a clean punch as Rodriguez comes forward. That had to be the fight plan. If I'm involved, that has to be the fight plan. Now, whether or not you can execute it, hey, that's what it comes down to. But to keep separation, let Rodriguez come at you and catch him coming. Make him pay a price. Make him go through a bad neighborhood and see if you can mug him. That's how you fight Rodriguez. You do not fight him the way Yafai. It was a great fight. But you don't fight him if you want to give yourself the best chance to win. You don't fight him in a phone booth. Not that guy. You don't do that. And at the end of the day, I think I know why he did it. They probably underestimated Rodriguez a little bit. He's a confident kid. He thinks, I'm home. I'm going to fight. I'm going to beat him. I've knocked out 7 guys. I'm going to hurt him. I'm just going to fight him. I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to show him who the boss is. I'm going to show him who the next full champion is instead of an interim champion. I think it was a little bit of ego, a little bit of that, and that's where the corner, the trainer, and I'm not blaming anyone, but that's where they also have to be involved to make sure they mandate the fight plan, that they talk about this and say, look, I know that you're confident, I know that you think that you could outfight them, but this is how you're fighting them. This gives us the best chance to win. Do not allow any of this other stuff to interfere with that fight plan. Do not let that get involved. I'm done. I'm done with this guy, like Joe Pesci said in My Cousin Vinny. I'm done. I'm done with this guy. I'm finished with him.
Yeah, good breakdown, bud. That was a big upset, and congratulations again to Francisco Rodriguez, the new flyweight champion. And we will see Yafai of how long of a rest he takes, and when he comes back, I know I'll be looking out and watching him fight, because unbelievable heart displayed by him, and I became a fan even watching him in defeat. So before we move on, we're going to take a quick break. Thank today's sponsor, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens introduces the new AG1 Next Gen. Now includes 5 clinically studied probiotic strains shown to support digestive and immune health with added vitamins and minerals. They've also now have new travel pack designs resulting in a much easier pour to improve the customer experience. So whether you guys are looking to boost your energy levels, support your immune system, or address gut health, Athletic Greens is the way to go. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/atlas to claim your special offer of 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. All right, bud, we're going to shift gears now. We're going to move over to the UFC, where the fight from Baku, Azerbaijan. Starting off with the co-main event, we had Rafael Fiziev fighting against Ignacio Bahamondes. Now, homecoming fight, like I said, for Fiziev. Fiziev, to me, very explosive, twitchy fighter, the more technically sound guy, but a tough style to fight against Bahamondes. Bahamondes so tall, so long. I was talking to Bennett before the fight, and he compared him in ways to Sebastian Fundora in boxing. You know, he's about 6'2", 6'3", fighting in the 155-pound division there, and he gives up his height like he does. He doesn't know really how to use those great physical advantages, and I thought, to me, that showed and came up in a lot of spots where Fiziev knew his identity, took control of the fight, landed the bigger, harder shots, more efficient. In the end, got the decision. What'd you make of this fight? What'd you think of Rafael Fiziev and his comeback after losing 3 in a row heading into this one?
You set it up Listen, I love working with you because you know boxing. You can talk about boxing. I can have a conversation. You can even bring stuff out in me. You could take me places. You could challenge me. So I just want to thank you for being here for those reasons. I'm not blowing smoke up your, because why would I? You're my son. There's plenty of times I'm yelling at you like a father, but not now. You set it up the way you set up. Well, you don't do it anymore, but you used to set up for little Teddy the Fourth the baseball on the tee to hit it. Now he hits it when you pitch to him, and he's a good hitter. This is perfectly set up for me on the tee. Bahamondes did not know how to fight tall real well. He didn't use his jab enough. He didn't control range. You're tall like that, you got to control range for two reasons. One, you keep the guy at the end of your punches or kicks, whatever, and you make it difficult for them to close the gap. In other words, if you're using your reach and your height properly, they have to take more of a risk than normal to get to you. And then you capitalize on that risk. You keep them at the end, you tempt them to make mistakes, you tempt them to reach, you tempt them to lunge, and then you take advantage. There wasn't a lot of that. So you could easily say, and you led me into it, that Bahamondes didn't know how to fight tall on a consistent level. But I'm going to take it somewhere else, which I usually do, when I think it should. Fiziev showed you how to fight small. Bang. He is a master fighter. That guy is good. He is solid. He's talented with everything. He's explosive. He's athletic. So is Bahamondes. But Fiziev, the short man versus the tall man, the short man knew how to fight short. He inched his way in. He didn't lunge. He closed the gap. He outstruck him with jabs and spots because timing is important. It's not just size. He got into the right position, into the right gaps, and then he timed him. He beat him to the mark. Again, he didn't cooperate. He didn't make Bahamondes' job easy by reaching, by getting frustrated, by getting anxious. He was patient. He was controlled. He even stepped out sometimes and got Bahamondes to bite, to come and give up his height, where then he could counter. Then he could get him. He could find him in a position without reaching for him. He was so well-rounded. He don't get enough credit, this Fiziev. He is a solid, well-rounded. Yes, he's got explosive neon abilities, but maybe his greatest talent is the sum of his parts, the total package. That he's just mentally and technically, he's a solid guy. And it spoke to me because I looked for that in boxing. And at the end of the day, he showed himself, terrific striker, just terrific, able to handle all elements in there, but just knew how to fight small better than the tall Bahamondes knew how to fight tall. That's it. Done with this guy. I know. I think that's enough. You could challenge me on it if you want, but for me, that's how I deciphered it. That's the way I saw it.
Yes, very impressive performance by Rafael Fiziev. That's his first win in almost 3 years now, and that win should catapult him back into the top 10 rankings there in his division. So we'll keep tabs on him, see what's next. But next for us, will take us to the main event there from Azerbaijan. And the main event had Khalil Rountree versus Jamal Hill. Now in this fight going in, I was curious to see first fight for Rountree in almost a year since losing to Alex Pereira. I wanted to see how he would recover from that. That was a brutal, damaging, grueling fight. He took the time off, he recovered, and he came back. Not the most action fight, a little more technical than maybe the fans wanted, but just a very smart, controlled, calculated fight where he disarmed Hill slowly but surely. First started with those leg kicks, then he started landing some combinations up top. Just a more efficient fighter, more technically sound, the better fighter. Wish he would have maybe took more chances, but he said it himself. He wanted to play it safe, get the win, get out of there, and keep it moving. He did that. Unanimous decision. What'd you make of this one?
Very similar in some ways. Yeah, in some ways. Where Rountree, again, fighting a very tall, wiry fighter, knew how to fight small. Knew how to deal with the height of Hill. Instead of letting the height of Hill being an advantage, he made it a detriment. He made it a negative. How? Because when you get close at the right distance and you get a taller guy to back up, which in spots Rountree did, now it's a negative for the tall guy because there's a lot of target to hit. There's like I used to say on ESPN calling the fights, there's a lot of windows to break when you get close to that skyscraper. And Rountree broke some windows. He forced him back. He closed the gap without leaving himself vulnerable. And he caught Hill in a vulnerable position, being a tall guy backing out. He also caught him reaching in. He baited him. He got him to give up his height and to come forward. He also showed a great Rountree, that is, assortment of weapons with his leg kicks. Oh, those leg kicks, the damage he did with those leg kicks. I mean, Hill's known as a puncher too. But how are you going to punch if your legs aren't set to punch? I mean, the foundation has to be there. If your legs aren't sound, it reminded me a little bit of what Dustin Poirier did, what his plan to do. It wasn't an accident. In the rematch with Conor McGregor, he took McGregor's legs away with kicks. Rountree did that. He took away the legs of Hill, so Hill couldn't be as dangerous with his upper body power if the lower body wasn't there anymore, wasn't stable anymore to deliver the upper body punches. So I thought that...
And he couldn't fight out of his normal southpaw stance.
100%. Even better. See, that's why I love you. And see, I don't have to say everything because I forget something. Bang! You put it right there. Look, I just loved the package. I loved how well-rounded. I love how many weapons. Rountree is a guy that he's got so many ways that he can attack you. He can walk you down. He can counterpunch. He uses his kicks. Like I said, he's explosive. His concentration was infallible. It was just perfect. He understood that he couldn't make a mistake with Hill because Hill is a good puncher. He does have that reach where he can catch you at a distance where maybe you're not aware of. And as far as recovering from the Pereira demolition, Hill had to go through that too. You know, he didn't take as much punishment, but he got demolished. And that's punishment on the psychological side. So he had to deal. Maybe in some ways it was worse for Hill, even though he didn't take as much physical punishment against that dangerous, great fighter named Pereira, that beast that he is, he's the boogeyman to a certain extent, even though he got beat his last fight with controlled aggression. I always said controlled aggression would be the best way to go with him. But at the end of the day, maybe Hill was more damaged, even though he didn't take as much punishment. But the way he got taken out, psychologically, confidence-wise, maybe that stayed with him a little bit more than Rountree, who took more punishment, but he hung with Pereira longer. And it gave him more confidence that, yeah, I got beat up at the end, but I hung 5 rounds. I think it was 5 rounds. I hung with him 5 rounds.
He was stopped in the 4th round. Rountree was.
4 rounds. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere. So I hung 4 rounds with this beast, where Rountree maybe was kind of boasted by the confidence of understanding that he could do that, where maybe Hill was hindered or, hurt by it because he didn't, he got taken out so fast. Anyway, at the end of the day, Rountree is, I'll tell you, I love the way he displayed so many dimensions of his abilities.
Yeah, an underrated word is solid, right? And that's, to me, what he is. He's just solid all around. He's going to be a tough out for anybody. These were 2 top 10 light heavyweights heading into this fight. Rountree should pop probably back up into the top 5. So another fight to look forward to seeing what will be next for him. So that wraps it up for this week's fight coverage from the UFC and the boxing world. Before we sign off, I do want to get into a couple fight previews coming up next weekend. Before jumping into that, I want to throw a little boxing news at you. The monster fight, September 13th, Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford. It's official, Las Vegas. But we just had the official opening press conference in Saudi Arabia. And a lot has been thrown out there. They're talking about maybe an 18-foot ring for this fight, 0 rehydration clause. Obviously, with Crawford moving up to the 160-pound division where Canelo's king. And even a $5 million reportedly KO bonus if somebody is to get the knockout in this fight. Does any of this change your opinion, change your pick, or change your thoughts on this upcoming fight?
Listen, unless this fight could take place in the middle of a hailstorm, a thunderstorm, a blizzard. Give me something else, bud. What else? Anything.
Monsoon?
Yeah. Anything short of a volcano, a live volcano. Full-blown lava, we stay away from. Everything else, all right. But lava, no. No lava. No lava. I'm taking Crawford. He'll handle it all. That's it. I am. I'm not in any way trying to shortcome the tremendous fighter named Canelo. I like Canelo a lot, but I like Crawford more. I like Crawford, and I liked him before Canelo didn't look great in his last fight against Skull. I liked him when the fight was first made 2 years ago, or talked about 2 years ago, or close to 2 years ago. As far as all these bells and whistles and all these things you're talking about, bud, look, Turkey Al-Sheikh is putting his imprint on boxing as the new face of boxing. It's that simple. He's done it by putting the money out there to make fights that the last 2 years that couldn't have been made and weren't made, that the audience wanted, the fans wanted, and the sport, I would say, needed. But he's now doing it to another level. He's doing it by doing anything he can, being that he's becoming the man. He's paying the money, he's paying the bills. So he figures, hey, I have the right to also demand certain things. If I'm paying for it, I want certain things to be my way. And what he wants his way is to do whatever he can to guarantee the best you can to have an exciting fight. And there's 2 ways to do that. Match the right fighters in the right styles, get the right matchmakers. And the other way is he figures, and I'm not sure it's always going to really influence it, but size of gloves, size of the ring, bonus, they do that in the UFC. Him and Dana are collaborating on this, him and Dana White, taking a page out of the UFC playbook that the most exciting fights of the night get $50,000 bonuses regularly in the UFC. So now Turkey Al-Sheikh again. He figures there's another element I can make it a little better. I'm gonna put that element into play. I'm gonna put in a bonus if it's a knockout. Do anything I can to entice the thing that the fans want. What do they want? They want exciting fights. I mean, baseball did it. He's not doing nothing wrong here. Baseball, what did they do? They did something that was a little different, but they juiced up the ball. If we're going to really talk about it, yeah, I'm not afraid to talk about things that I know to be true because of what somebody might like or not like. I could care less if I think it's true and I know it's true. Baseball years ago, when the fan base was teetering a little bit, what did the owners do? They juiced the ball. Why? That's why. I'm not even going to say. You get it? So balls would start going over the fence and more people would come and watch. So, look, he's not juicing the gloves. He's not doing anything like that. Sammy Sosa, with the base. I love Sammy, but man, oh man, when that baseball bat broke and Super Bowls fell out of that baseball bat, that oh my God, that image is still obviously with me. Yeah, so he's trying to do whatever he can within a proper forum, within a proper lane, to make the fight as enticing and exciting as possible. So he's trying to do that. I tell you where you got to be responsible. The managers of the fighters. I know that there's bravado. I know there's confidence. I know that they're alpha males. I know they're fighters. You got the attitude, just fight. Okay, but I'll never forget the great, great Marvin Hagler and the great, great Sugar Ray Leonard. When they fought that fight, a mega fight, a historic event, when they fought that fight, I remember the Petronelli brothers with the great Marvin Hagler, who was the favorite in that fight for a lot of reasons. The naturally bigger man, the guy who'd been active. Sugar Ray Leonard had all the, he had been away from the game, retired, came back, the whole thing. But I remember that the Petronelli brothers basically conceded to everything. As long as, they got paid right, they did. But they could say, you want a bigger ring? Leonard wanted a bigger. Go ahead, no problem. Okay, thank you. We want bigger gloves. Go ahead, no problem. But it was a problem. I'm not saying it changed the fight, but it gave a little edge, psychologically, physically, technically, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I look at everything. It gave a little edge to Leonard. And you know why he got that? Because his manager, a lawyer named Mike Trainer, he put that into the contract. And he got it. He didn't fight about the money so much. They were all getting paid good. He fought for those things. I want a bigger ring. My guy got to stay away from this monster. I need a bigger ring. I want a little bit bigger gloves. The puncher, the bigger man is who? It's Hagler. So at the end of the day, I think that's the thing I would be looking at if I was involved in these fighters. But it's going to be maybe it's going to be a sign of things to come. The sport's changing. Turkey Alashik's changing it. Dana White is changing it. They're coming together. They're coming to America. Put up that film. That was a good one. You like that, right, bud? Wasn't that good, Richie? Did you ever see that movie, Richie, Coming to America with Eddie Murphy?
It's my mom's favorite movie.
Your mother's favorite movie. All right. Coming to America. They're coming to America, bud. And they're going to shake things up. So
they are shaking things up. I know everybody can't wait for that fight in September. And I'm very curious to see moving forward about the TKO bonus structure that we just touched about. I know in this fight, when guys are making this much money, the bonus might not mean as much to try to go for the knockout as opposed to just getting the win. But when we talk about future fights and undercard fighters, that might incentivize guys a lot more and help make more entertaining fights, besides, obviously, potentially smaller rings. So,
yeah, and I gotta say one thing. Because some person out there will say, oh, you didn't say this. Oh, you didn't say this, Ted. All right, I'm sorry I didn't. But it could. I like it. All right, I'm out there. I like it. But it could possibly, it shouldn't, but it could entice somebody to get a little reckless in a fight, to get the knockout, where now they get knocked out. That could happen, yes. That element is in there for somebody out there that was waiting to sniper me. You know, they're looking at sniping me from the woods, from the weeds. Like say, oh, Teddy, you think it's great, but what if a guy veers from his fight plan and he's ahead in a fight, but he wants the knockout? So he goes for the knockout and he gives the other guy a chance that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Yeah, but you know what? That's part of the reason why it's there, because it's going to invoke more risk. And with risk comes reward. It takes risk to get reward. And in this case, with risk comes excitement, or the potential for excitement.
Absolutely. There's a lot of excitement in the air, and we will be circling back on this fight as it gets closer. Still got a ways to go, so we'll keep tabs, and we'll report back if any news comes up. With that being said, we're going to move on. I want to throw out a couple upcoming fights this weekend. The first ones are going to be on a Friday night. We're going to start off talking about knockouts. Deontay Wilder returning to the ring. It's been 1 year since he was knocked out versus Zhang, and he's lost 2 in a row. He's trying to get back on the win column. I like the path they're taking here. They're going off the unbeaten path, so to speak, fighting an opponent, Herrndon, a guy who's been knocked out 5 times before. And this fight is going to be on BLK Prime TV from Kansas. Again, Deontay Wilder's return to the ring. Just want to get your thoughts and a little preview what to expect in this one.
Yeah, this won't take too long, bud. I know you like that. The fans like that. I'm going to get right to it. If you wanted to put weight on, bud, if you want to put a little weight, I know there's a lot of people out there saying, Teddy, I want to take weight off. Okay, here. Right here, okay? I got you. Gives you everything you need. You can take some weight off. But if you want to put weight on, you go to Carvel. If you want to come back from devastating knockout losses, if you want to come back at a late point in your career after you've been obviously losing fights, which is what Wilder and his people want, you go to Carvel. You go to a place where you can get just what you want. I want a medium cone with sprinkles. I want a guy available to build my confidence back up. I'm not knocking any fighter, but I'm being real with you. And you get a guy like Herrndon. You get a guy that's been knocked out. You get a guy who's available. You get a guy that you don't have to look for. You get a guy who is 38 years old. I think he's 38, but he's somewhere in that neighborhood. You get that guy. You go to the place where you find what you need for what you're looking for. You're looking to gain weight, you go to Carvel. You're looking to get confidence back, you look at the record book, you call up the right matchmaker, and you get the right guy. They got the right guy to get confidence back. Now, anything could go wrong. I don't know what Wilder has left. That's the only thing that's left to a little bit of finding out. Otherwise, it's kind of like a closed book for me. But you never know. You just don't know psychologically and physically what Wilder has left. But other than that, they're picking a guy to get, not to get fatter, but to get more confident. I'm going to take a guess and put a round on it. I'm going to put a round. I know that Herrndon's been knocked out early in the first round by some of the good fighters.
Efe Ajagba knocked him out in 1 round, and Richard Torres, current heavyweight, former Olympic silver medalist, he knocked him out in 2 rounds.
Okay, I'm going to say that those 2 fighters were more prone to be aggressive, and they were still undefeated in their career. They were still on the upswing. Wilder is not on the upswing. Wilder might be a little tentative now, coming off of the losses he's coming off of. So I'm going to... At 39 years old. So I'm going to evaluate it differently. I'm going to put out a different guess. I'm going to say that's going to buy him a little time. It's going to buy Herrndon a little time. Well, Wilder's not going to go right after him like he would if he was younger or he was undefeated or 100% confident. It's going to take him a minute to kind of get his feet under him, right? Get his sea legs back where he can feel good again. So I'm going to make it 3 rounds. That's long. That's long when you consider that he's been knocked out in 1 round by these other guys. And people are going to say, well, Wilder's capable of knocking him out 2 in 1. Of course he is. I'm just going to say he's going to go about it a little less quickly. And that's going to allow Herrndon to last 2 to 3 rounds. 2 to 3 rounds.
Yeah, when you said time, remind me of one of your favorite movies, Man on Fire. Time? I wish you had more time. I don't think Herndon's going to have too much time in there, but that was a good breakdown. I know a lot of people are not familiar at all with Herrndon, so it gives them a little taste of what to expect. And Wilder is minus 1,400 favorite going into this one. So with that being said, I want to touch on a couple more previews also on a Friday night. This one is going to be in Canada, in Quebec. We have Christian Mbilli fighting Maciej Sulecki. Mbilli, top-rated number 1 mandatory contender there in the 168-pound division, where Canelo is king. Waiting for him to get that big name on his resume. This isn't going to be it, but this is a veteran, tough fighter who's only been stopped once in his career before. That was against Diego Pacheco, another top prospect at 168 pounds. Does Mbilli have to get the stoppage to keep pace with Pacheco? What do you make of this fight? What should we expect from Christian Mbilli?
And the pronunciation, I want to make sure of his opponent is
Sulecki.
Sulecki. All right, that's why I asked. I got enough people out there trying to sniper the crap out of me. I don't need to help them. Sulecki, listen. Sulecki's lost 3 fights, I believe. I don't have it in front of me, but
33-3, only 13 knockouts.
Only to top guys. And 2 of the top guys that he lost to, Danny Jacobs and
Demetrius Andrade.
Yeah, and Andrade, 2 world champions. He went the distance with them. The only time, as you said, he got knocked out, he got stopped in the 6th round, was by Pacheco. Now, Pacheco, what's different from Pacheco and Mbilli is that Pacheco controlled range. And that gave Sulecki a problem. He didn't engage him in toe-to-toe combat. What he did, and that could be bad too. A guy can punch, he engaged you in toe-to-toe combat, he could get rid of you. But it was a big advantage to Pacheco and a disadvantage to Sulecki that Pacheco was disciplined with his height, his range, his power, his ability, and he kept Sulecki at the end of his punches and caught him coming in and frustrated him. Didn't give Sulecki really a chance to do what he wanted to do, what he had to do as an underdog, to be able to put leather on Pacheco and be able to feel like he's in a fight, to be able to feel like he's engaging in a fight. He kind of took his hope away by having the style and the discipline to make Sulecki have to take chances to get close and made him pay for those chances. That will not be the case against Mbilli. Mbilli will engage him. He's not tall, he's not long. He doesn't, he don't use those tactics. He comes out, he's fan-friendly, he's undefeated, he's strong physically, he punches good, he comes right at you and he engages you. I know it sounds crazy, but in some ways that suits Sulecki a little better than having to go chase down a Pacheco and walk into problems. He could box with Mbilli a little bit. He could pick spots. He's going to have that option. I don't know if he'll be able to do it with Mbilli, but he will have a chance to try it. He will not be forced into a fight that's completely uncomfortable in a way he was with Pacheco. So in that way, I like Mbilli to win. But in that way, it gives Sulecki a little bit more breathing room to have hope, to have options, better options in the way he approaches this fight. Does that make sense? I know it's a different kind of breakdown than you normally would get, but that's the breakdown for me, the way I look at it as a trainer. So I like Mbilli. I like his style. He's fan friendly. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take Mbilli. But maybe Sulecki does better than most people expect him to do, coming off the loss to Pacheco.
No, it's an interesting take and breakdown. Mbilli is a minus 2,000 favorite heading into this one. So not many are giving him any chance at all for Sulecki, as well as maybe going some rounds and maybe even going the distance in this fight. Mbilli 28-0 with 23 knockouts. I want to see if he gets past this one. I want to see that bigger step up. I want to see that bigger name, right? I know Shiraz and Berlanga in that division have a big fight coming up.
Give Shiraz credit, Bud. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But, Bud, am I right? Are you with me on this one? I mean, Berlanga is so big. He's strong. He's a good puncher. I know people still have questions about him. But that Canelo fight answered some questions, and it gave him that experience. It gave him some confidence, probably, even though he lost. I tell you, for Shiraz to take a big, dangerous guy who's undefeated like this and ask for that fight, it speaks to the makeup of Shiraz, the mentality, the confidence, the everything. It really does. I'm really curious.
Right, moving up to 168 pounds without a tune-up after a tough fight with Adames at 160, which was obviously a draw. So I'm with you on that. But going back to Mbilli, Jaime Munguia is going to be probably suspended coming up. So he's not going to get the fight versus Canelo. Where does he go? Is it Jamal Charlo? Is it Diego Pacheco? I hope we get one of those fights next, but he's got to get past Sulecki first in order to talk about those future matchups. So we will move on to the final fight we're going to preview for next weekend on Saturday night. And that one is going to be Jake Paul, Julio Chavez Jr. And this fight, just want to get your take, but I'll let you jump right into it. Chavez Jr., most of his career, his success was at 160 to 168 pounds. This fight is going to be at the cruiserweight limit of 200 pounds. Obviously, there's been some inactivity. He did fight Uriah Hall, former UFC and MMA fighter, which he won. He also had a bout against Anderson Silva, which he lost, the great UFC legend and Hall of Famer. Just want to get your take. Is this a real fight at the age now that Chavez Jr. is, I believe 39 years old, and some of the wars he's been in? Does he have a chance, or is this, as some people would say, just another great matchmaking and selective pick by Jake Paul and his team?
Look, Paul is still a work in progress as a fighter. And I give him credit. He's doing everything he can to be the best fighter he can be. And again, I said it before, it's the American way. He had a vision. He had a belief. He had a dream, right? We should not, frown on anyone's dream. And he went out there, Paul, and he executed it. And he's making it happen. You could hate him. You could like him. It doesn't matter. He's gone out there and he's put color to his sketch in his mind of what he wanted to do. And he's executed it. So, yeah, he picks his spots. Yeah, he's a work in progress. But he's also a pretty good judge of talent. He's a pretty good, like you. You're not pretty good. You were a great scout in the NFL. Paul's a pretty good scout of choosing the right opponents. I know he has an edge all the time, but hey, what are you gonna knock him for? If he brings the money, he deserves to have the edge, and he brings the money. He makes the promotion. So he's a good manager. He's becoming as good a fighter as he can. We'll see where that goes. But he is a damn good manager. If I was fighting, I wouldn't mind him managing me. Paul. I'm not joking. I'm not being facetious here. He knows what to pick, and he's picking Chavez, except for the Tommy Fury fight, which he was still competitive at least, but except for that, he's been perfect in his opinions and his selection of who he's going to fight and why. Look, Chavez, to get to it, yeah, he's a former world champion. He's been inactive. He's been out of boxing. He's had all kinds of issues personally, outside the ring, with his lifestyle, with so many things where you could argue that he wasn't a fighter anymore. He wasn't training regularly or mentality to be a fighter anymore. He just picks his spots because he still has the name. Yes, he's a former world champ. He earned that. He earned that himself. That's not from the father. But a lot of it is the father's name at this point. And with all the inactivity, all the lifestyle issues, everything else, I don't see Chavez winning. And then with his past performances, you said it, bud. He beat Hall. Hall was very competitive with him. I mean, my goodness. Hall was real. I give credit to Hall. Hall looked pretty damn good. I was impressed with the boxing ability of Hall, who wasn't a boxer.
And that was only a 6-round fight. The Silva fight was an 8-round fight. This is scheduled for 10.
And another one. Hall was not only really competitive. I thought it was a close fight, to be honest. But Silva beat him, and Silva was 45 years old, somewhere in that neighborhood. A former UFC great, no MMA great, but not a boxer. And he beats him. Paul's going to beat him. Again, Paul doesn't pick guys so, he'll look stupid. He picks guys so he can sell it. He picks guys that does have the chance to give some entertainment element and some competitive element. But all of those elements are picked to be in favor of Paul. Again, what are you going to do? Get mad at him for doing what anyone out there would do if they had the opportunity or the ability or the guts? Because it does take guts to put yourself out there the way Paul does. I don't care if you hate him or like him. It does. I don't care if you like what I'm saying or don't like what I'm saying. Because I'm saying what needs to be said. Not based on any biases. Not based on anything other than what the facts tell me. So, I like Paul to win the fight. I think it'll go the distance. You never know. Chavez does like to throw the left hook, the traditional punch of the Mexican fighters where you throw the left hook. Sometimes he might lead with it a little bit. He's got a decent left hook to the body and to the head. Sometimes he turns it off the hook or off the jab fairly well. But he's not real busy. He'll probably move a little bit. I look at Paul using the jab to stabilize him on the outside, to control that movement, to keep Chavez, keep him in front of him where he can set him up. I look for Paul to go to the body, take the legs away from Chavez when he boxes a little bit. And I look for one other thing. An opportunity where Chavez, when he does throw the left hook, bud, if he leads with it a little bit, the best punch of Paul besides the jab is his right hand. He's got a pretty good right hand. Yeah, he's got a good uppercut too, you're right. But he's got a pretty good right hand. And if he could time the left hook being a little wide in front of him, well, as I always say, what do I say? Straight beats round. The straight right hand could beat the left hook and could give Paul maybe an opportunity to do something that, even as a favorite, I don't think too many people expect, which would be to drop a former world champion, even in the state that this former world champion is now in. There it is. I hope it's good enough for you. I hope it's good enough for the people out there. But that's it. That's it. Again,
It's a good breakdown. Paul's won 5 in a row heading into this one since that loss that you touched on versus Tommy Fury. He's a 7-1 favorite. And I just want to say, you talk about selling this fight. It is a DAZN pay-per-view, but some good fights I'm excited about on the undercard. You got the former cruiserweight champ Unil Dorticos fighting the current cruiserweight champion Gilberto Ramirez. And then a very interesting matchup. Tevin Farmer, fresh off of his rematch loss to William Zepeda, is fighting Floyd Schofield. Schofield was supposed to fight Shakur Stevenson, fell through last minute. This will be his first fight since that happened. So 2 competitive fights on paper. Maybe you get your money's worth if the main event doesn't live up to it for Chavez and Paul.
Can I say one thing, Bud? You're the boss. Everyone knows that. They think it's me. It's you. But if you allow me, real quick, Ramirez, I like Ramirez over Dortico, but Dortico's an experienced fighter, Cuban fighter, from the great Cuban, national teams and heritage of that little island where you have so many great fighters come out of there, so many great champions. He's a good puncher, Dortico. That's an interesting fight. Ramirez, I think, wins it. Ramirez is a very busy fighter, solid. It's an interesting fight. I like Ramirez. And Farmer, Schofield's still young. He's still inexperienced. I like him, but he's still very inexperienced, and I think he's still a work in progress, where he's still trying to find his identity a little bit of, do I box or do I come and get you? Which one? Or do I find the happy medium? And his father trains him, I believe, so I don't know if they have found that identity that I think that all fighters have to find at some point. I don't know if they have yet, but I'll tell you one thing. Farmer you can count on, except he's been in a lot of tough fights. He's had a lot of fights. I love Farmer. He's a warrior. He's an experienced, solid fighter. But he's coming off 3 tough fights in a row with the 2 top fighters. He's taken a lot of punishment, Farmer. At some point, when does that show up? And so it really hasn't with Farmer. He's a phenomenon. He is. He's an enigma. He's taking so many damn punches that I'm waiting for the guy to show up one day and just say, "Oh my God, he shouldn't be in the ring anymore." And I don't want that to happen. So I shouldn't say I'm waiting for it. But I wouldn't be shocked because he's taken so many punches in tough fights with only top guys. But if Farmer has something left, if it hasn't been drained out of him from these last 3 fights with tough fights, Schofield could be in for a tough night. He could be. Or he could be in for an easy fight if Farmer shows up where a lot of it has been drained out of him. That's it.
Yeah, you nailed it. I can't disagree with any of that. We talked about the resiliency and how quick we raved about his recovery versus Zepeda, especially in that rematch. But to your point, that was only 3 months ago when they get back in the ring. Farmer does coming up on Saturday night. So we'll see if the turnaround was too quick. And I'm with you. Dortico's but 25 knockouts in his 27 wins. He's a 6-1 underdog. Interesting match versus Gilberto Ramirez. If Gilberto Ramirez wins that, maybe we'll finally see the unification versus João Pitaya. So anyway, that was a lot of fights we covered.
Ramirez, can I say one thing, Bud? Ramirez gives you a chance to hit him because he engages you. He's very busy. He's got a good chin. He's obviously very experienced, and he's very technically good. But if you're the puncher, there's one thing you want when you're fighting. You just want a chance with a fighter that's going to give you a chance to land that punch. And Ramirez does give you that chance with his style.
Yeah, high work rate. Absolutely. Throws a lot of punches. So we'll be back next week on Monday covering those. Be on the lookout for Teddy's list coming out towards the end of this week. And before we sign off, Bud, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to leave you with a movie line because you brought up the movie lines. I'm so happy that you like what I like, that you love to quote these movie lines. You brought up Man on Fire. So I'm going to bring up one of my favorites, and it was Jason Bourne movie where he says to the CIA head, the woman, I forget her name. What was her name in the movie? Anyway, he's watching her from obviously binoculars. She's in her office, and he's got the scope on her. And if she says the wrong thing, she ain't going to be there no more. You're not going to see her in the sequel, okay? Because he's Jason Bourne. And he's right there, he's looking, and he asked her a question. And she gave the right answer. And then when he finished, he said to her, she has no idea, of course, that he's in another building looking at her. And then he says to her, whatever her name was, I wish I could remember, but whatever, let's say Gail. Get some rest, Gail. You look tired. And then she started looking around like, What? I'm just going to say, I love you. Get some rest, bud. You look a little tired. That's it. That's how I finish.
All right. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Be back with you guys next week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. See you next week.